And we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to talk about the possibility of a non quarterback winning MVP this year. And I'll try to make my case for that. Now, because it's an interesting conversation to have. Now, is a quarterback going to win MVP? Most likely. You look at Dak Prescott and how he's played recently. He's really starting to. I mean, I talked about the MVP odds last week, and the Heisman odds as well. I think especially after, and that was before, Dak Prescott's performance on Thursday, and obviously what happened in the Niners-Eagles game and how the Niners just destroyed the Eagles. Dak Prescott is really, trending up in terms of the MVP. He's got to be up there, and Brock Purdy as well. And how he performed in the game against the Eagles. That was a big performance. Jalen Hurts, was the favorite. So you look at those three guys, and you could throw, C.J. Stroud in there as well. Mahomes is always going to be part of the conversation, but he's not going to win this year. So yeah, it's probably going to be a quarterback that wins, but there's definitely a few players that you could look at and make the case that they can win MVP. The big one for me is Tyreek Hill. Now, Tua could also be part of the conversation as well, but I feel like if Tyreek Hill gets 2,000 yards this year, I feel like you might have to give it to him because he has been unbelievable this year. Now, you could also look at the fact that, the NFL added an extra game, so it's going to be easier for him to get it. But it's going to be close. It's going to be close because right now, we'll go look at his stats on the season really quick. So right now he is almost 1,500 yards receiving. And we have, we got week 14. So we got about 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, we got 5 weeks left in the regular season. He's got 1,481 yards receiving, 12 touchdowns on the season. I mean, I feel like he's got to be up there in the MVP voting. And again, if you get to 2,000 yards, I mean, it's hard to not give him consideration. So I mean, for me, I feel like he should get it. And the other players that been discussed as well. You got Myles Garrett and the season he's had this year. One of the top players in sacks, of course. I mean, the guy is one of the best defensive players in football. That's somebody else that, especially like conversations that I've had with my friends, he's definitely someone that should be considered. He's got 13 sacks on the season. Khalil Mack actually leads the way with 15. But yeah, he's got 13 sacks. He's got 4 fumbles on the season. I mean, he's having a great year, and I think he's up there for Defensive Player of the Year definitely. Then you also got Christian McCaffrey as well. I mean, he's been off the charts this year too. I mean, really only one game where he didn't score a touchdown, and they tried their hardest to get him into the end zone, but they couldn't. It was against Jacksonville. I feel like McCaffrey's got to be in that conversation as well. I know. I think people are talking about Deron Bland because of the amount of pick sixes that he's had this year, but I don't think that's going to happen. I really think it's going to come down to. I think Tyreek Hill has the best chance out of the non-quarterbacks to win MVP. And the last time that was done was Adrian Peterson in 2012. And I just feel like Tyreek Hill is having that kind of year where, I feel like he should win it because there's really no quarterback that's really, lighting it up this year. Like guys are having good years, but you're not seeing, a spectacular season like when Tom Brady threw 50 touchdowns, Peyton Manning threw 55. Aaron Rodgers and his back-to-back MVPs. We're not really, we're not really seeing anything like that this year. Because, you look at, I mean, C.J. Stroud leads the way in, now he leads the way in passing yards. Um, Sam Howell is second. Is Sam Howell going to win MVP? No. You got Tua up there, Dak. I mentioned them before. Jared Goff. You could throw him in there as well, but I don't think he's going to win MVP. Stroud's definitely going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But it's kind of tough. Yeah, because you look at like 26. I think Dak Prescott has 26 touchdowns. I think that's the most in the NFL right now. Let me just take a quick scan through it. Yeah, Dak Prescott has the most touchdowns at 26. And, it's very good still. But I feel like, the most somebody might end up with might be like around like 40, which is still again, really good. But I don't know. We'll just have to see how it ends up. But I think for me, if Tyreek Hill gets to 2,000 yards, he should win it. I think so. But yeah, it's just kind of it's just interesting. I mean, we still got some time left. We still got a handful of games left where that could all change. But I feel like this definitely could be a year where that happens. But we'll just have to wait and see. There's still plenty of time left. Guys could fall off a little bit towards the end, and then other guys that have been on the bubble, they just go off these last several games, and that changes the conversation. But I don't know. I feel like this is just one of those years where you're just like, I don't really know. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air right now. Because, like I said, Jalen Hurts looked like he was the favorite, and then they just got blown out by the Niners. So that's really going to hurt, his... well, I shouldn't say it's really going to hurt, but it's going to do some damage to his MVP consideration. And I know a lot of people are complaining about the fact that, he's got all these rushing touchdowns, but basically all of them are from the tush push. I think he's going to break Cam Newton's rushing touchdown record, or he already did. And it's going to be because of the tush push, when meanwhile Cam Newton was, dragging people into the end zone, getting knocked up in the air, doing a flip, and landing on his feet in the end zone. I think, yeah, because it was that one hit he took in 2015 where he literally did a flip in the air, and he scored a touchdown on that. But yeah, I get it, and I think they want to ban the tush push, but the reason why the Eagles are able to do that is because of their offensive line. If they did not have that offensive line, they would not be able to do that. But we'll just have to see what happens there. But I think this is an interesting conversation to have, just because, I've thought about doing topics on the MVP, and I'm like, there's really I don't think there's really a clear-cut favorite right now, and I don't really think it's a quarterback. There's not really, you can't really look at one player and say he's definitely the MVP. Now there's guys, again, all these guys that I've mentioned, they have a shot to win MVP, but I can't sit here and be like, this guy is definitely going to win MVP. I can't really say that. Like Dak Prescott, he's been trending up. Brock Purdy, he's had a great season. Jalen Hurts has been good. Turnovers have been an issue, but he's still been good. He's got the team with the best record in the NFL right now. He's a big part of that. You also have, like I said, there's Jared Goff and Tua that have an outside shot at quarterback. Again, Mahomes is always part of the conversation. But, yeah, I feel like a non-quarterback could win it. And I think Tyreek Hill, he's got to get consideration for MVP. So, and it's all going to come down to how these, final games go. There's still time. But, like I said, I think it's an interesting conversation to be had, because To me, I don't really think there's like a clear cut favorite for MVP, and I think a lot of people are kind of in the same boat as that. Um, where it's just you just have no idea who it's going to be. So, well, again, like I always say, we just got to wait and see. Just got to wait and see how it all unfolds in these final games here. We're now in week 14. We'll see how it all goes. But some of these quarterbacks are. Hurts is a little dinged up. He left the game briefly for the Niners against the Niners. Was able to come back in and finish the game. So we'll just see. We just got to see how it goes. But it's going to be fun to. It's going to be a fun conversation to be had. And we'll see if Tyreek Hill gets 2,000 yards. I mean, he had a big game on Sunday against the Commanders. The Commanders just, again, picked up where they left off on Thanksgiving, where they just were letting guys run free. The Commanders are a bad team. They are a bad team. And Tyreek Hill exploited that. Because he actually was saying how, I think it was on the first touchdown. At least it was on one of the touchdown passes that he caught. He said he ran the wrong route, and he was still able to adjust and catch the ball and score. And the Commanders just looked so lost on both of his touchdowns. And I picked him. Yeah, I picked him with the 9.5. I thought Sam Howell could, put up some points, but again, I was wrong. So I'm kind of done picking the Commanders this year, and they're on a bye, so don't have to worry about them this week. So I ended up with 7 again. So that's been the story this year in the spread pool. It's been 7 or 8 this year. It's not good, not good. And there's not a lot of time left, so I got to step it up this week, and we'll see how this week goes. But kind of expecting more of the same. So, but you never know. You never know. Crazier things have happened. So, but let me know what you guys think. Does Tyreek Hill, have a case to, maybe be an MVP candidate this year? I mean, he definitely is. It's just, can he win it? I mean, I think he definitely can. If he gets to 2,000 yards, I think that's a very strong case. But again, you got to see how the quarterbacks play down the stretch, what they do. And that'll, kind of dictate if that's the case or not. So, with that being said, we'll take our second break of the show, and then when we come back, we'll discuss the quarterback injuries that have occurred this year. We'll go through, the list of quarterbacks. But before I do that, I just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you, the viewer. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed. Excuse me. Man, losing my voice there. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So, when we come back from our second break of the show, we will discuss the quarterback injuries that had occurred over the course of the year. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.